Good morning. Hello. Welcome to AMA Puget Sound's Coffee Talk series, live on Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Our guest today is Hanedi Karajeh. Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. She currently works as an account coordinator at a Sacramento-based communications agency and serves as the Director of Luncheons at AMA Sacramento Valley. Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good, Julie. How are you? Thanks for
I'm
having me.
excellent. I'm excellent. We were talking about the weather before we went live. We're both West Coasters, and here in Seattle, it's not raining, but it's actually sunny outside, but it's cold. So you're saying it's starting to get warm, or it will be. It's chilly now, but it will be.
Yeah, it's windy in California at the moment. The cold doesn't last too long here, usually. So sometimes we have hotter days, sometimes we have colder days. But I try to remind myself when it's cold to enjoy it because for a majority of the year, it will get very, very hot up until about the end of October after summer is over. And so I look forward to those cold times and when I can wear a sweater and everything up here in the valley in Sacramento. So
Yeah. Yeah. And most people like myself, because I'm not familiar with California, you just immediately think it's going to be sunny all year round. But it's like, no, that's only parts of the state because it's a big, big state, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So up north it's snowing, and then down in LA it's probably hotter. And then in Sacramento we're lucky and we have the best of both worlds. Not snow, but we get the cold, so it's nice.
Yeah, it sounds like Seattle. We did get a little snow this year, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we are not meteorologists, so we're actually marketers. So we're going to talk about marketing, but I love to actually bring in weather because it's one of those things that we can all relate to. So we're going to really talk today about when you're building your audience and kind of giving your audience what they want and learning really from them what they want and so from your perspective, if your organization, if you're a marketing team of one, if you're trying to develop, build your brand, how do you create a social media page that audiences will engage with?
Yeah. So you have to.
Pop-ups?
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say pop-ups.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you have to take a few steps to be on brand and sort of create your social media page from the ground up. And as soon as you get started and going, then you'll sort of have an idea of what you're supposed to be doing, what your audiences want to see, and who your audience is. So I have a few steps here. So the first is to be on brand. So first, you should establish your brand guidelines with the color palette, fonts, templates, and make the posts similar to each other yet different. That can be used over and over again. So when your audience visits your page or you're posting content, for the first time, then people know what to expect, and eventually it's so on brand that they know it's you. Yeah. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, the consistency is very important.
Exactly. Yeah. So based on what you just said, you want to establish reoccurring content that the audience can expect to see when you post something new. So depending on what your organization is, this is all going to be different. But for AMASV, I was the past social media director. So when I was social media director, I would create posts that are related to new job postings, volunteer spotlights, or if your organization is an organization with employees, you can do employee spotlights, quotes, event information, and also make sure to post about holidays if that's important to your organization. And not just holidays either. There are national days that you can also post about. There is a website called National Day Calendar, and so you can find a national day for any day for any month of the year, and also national months, and also international months. So recently it was the Employee Appreciation for Women's History, and so those would be important to post about. And then you also want to tell your brand's story. So showcase who you are by implementing the core values of your organization and speak to why your brand lives by your values. So, for example, here at AMA Sacramento Valley, we show our audience how to use marketing best practices, engage with the community marketers, and network to land jobs and gain new skills and opportunities.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you also want to grab your audience's attention by being bold, and that means literally. So when you create your posts, you want to have big block letters for some, and just mix it up in the content that you're posting to make it stand out. Create simple posts with a clear message on that note, and then post a mix of static images, videos, and GIFs. And then also be relevant and intentional by researching what is important to the niche of your audience.
Absolutely. And I like how, especially with that piece that you mentioned, bringing it back to your company and your organization's mission. If it doesn't fit your mission, you don't need to be posting about it. But one thing that I want to bring in about this, when you're starting out, I know a lot of folks, I'm always hearing them ask about goals, setting the KPIs. How do you do that when you're starting from the ground up? I've heard different ideas of, well, you have to start somewhere. Well, but where,
Yeah. So with that, you just want to start posting, and you want to track those KPIs over time and track those analytics and sort of establish a goal for yourself of how much audience reach that you want to hit. And so this can be done by consistently posting over time and seeing what your audience engages with and reacts to, and then just continue tracking those analytics. And you can do that by going to the social media platform that you're on and using their analytics tool. And on Facebook specifically, it will show you how many people have viewed a certain post. And so you'll know that one post has done better over the other. And so if you continue to post content that looks like that, you might reach the same amount of people at once. And then also experiment and try to establish new content that people will also want to engage with. And I believe that's how you should start building your KPIs. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're just new at it. But as soon as you are in it, keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can always add to it. It doesn't have to be you're analyzing every piece. You find the pieces that are important. And I always like to tie it to a dollar amount because we know in marketing, like it takes, so many touch points before a person will buy. So when you're able to get robust enough and starting to tie that in, that's when it gets fascinating.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. So over time, how are you building the audience? You're posting the content. What else are you doing, and how are you really building that audience?
Yeah, so you want to make sure to engage with your audience. So in the case of AMA Sacramento Valley, we engage with other chapters, and we do this intentionally. So for example, we recently had a scholarships, and so the scholarship would be eligible for applicants throughout the greater Sacramento area and sort of up north California. And so we engage with other chapters to let them know we have a scholarship going on. It is specifically for marketers, and if they are pursuing marketing, then they'll be eligible to apply. And so that was sort of the way that we promoted that and sort of let people know that we existed, and then we offered that kind of service. So then next time a scholarship comes around, hopefully they're engaged with us and they keep an eye out. If they're still in school and they want to apply to the next one, then that's kind of how we did that. And then also you should use hashtags that are searchable. So again, if you have like an audience that has a specific niche, then you want to be very intentional with the hashtags that you use. So for example, at AMASV, there is a network of collegiate students, entry-level professionals, established professionals in the C-suite. So then if we're posting a post about a job, we use like hashtag jobs, hashtag Sacramento, hashtag marketing, hashtag communication, that was relevant to the post there. And then also, as we mentioned before, be consistent in posting and let people know that you are still there and you have a lot of content to offer. And I believe that's also how you can build your audience over time.
I want to quick ask you kind of an off question. Just your opinion on unpaid social when you're trying to build an audience. Not that you're promoting a specific product or service, but you're just building the audience. What's your thought on that?
Was that paid or unpaid, you said?
Paid.
Yeah. So my thought on that is that you should do it. If you have the budget to do it, then you should. So for example, last year at AMA Sacramento Valley, when we were promoting the scholarship, we were going to put some money towards promoting that post. And so we also had a conversation about where the funds would be best spent. So definitely establish a budget for yourself if you are building a social media page, or if you are continuing a social media page.
Mm-hmm.
It's very valuable to get that audience reach, and having the paid element will get you there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes brands will also be offered some ad credit. In one of my previous jobs, I was offered an ad credit to promote the social page that I was owning at the time. And so I went ahead and took advantage of that. And you can also add a little bit more of a cost to that, and then get a wider audience reach. So definitely implementing that tool is very important if you want to promote your work just starting out. More people will see it. So very important.
It's an investment. It's not an expense, it's an investment. Yeah, like you said, if you want more eyes on it, if that's your real goal is the impressions, and then later on is the conversion. That's starting somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's okay. So this is a really, really good question, and I'm glad that we're going to talk about this because this does come up. But when it comes to posting content, how can you tell when content is actually relative to your audience? Like, you've had a string of blog posts that you think are really going to resonate, and then you start seeing the numbers, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
What do you do at that point?
Yeah, so you want to recognize what type of content your audience is primarily engaged in. So you can go into similar organizations such as yourself and see who they're following, and sort of doing some exploring and researching on your side, and seeing what kind of content you haven't thought of to post, and then you can create that kind of content yourself. And then also measure the engagement using the analytics, as I said, and see what audiences like the most, and sort of play off that. So you can experiment with different kinds of content. For example, since the network that AMA currently has is primarily professionals, then we pull from articles and different other resources to post motivational quotes, or share new news in the industry, or networking tips, or we share people's career journeys and things like that. And so as soon as those posts get a big engagement, that we know works. And so I think continuing to try that kind of content and see what's relevant to your organization would be the best plan there to kind of tell what's relevant.
Right. I like that you brought up looking at not necessarily your competitors, depending on your organization, but kind of looking at your competitors and other organizations that are similar, just because it's okay. And it's amazing, how many people are still of the mindset, oh no, you can't look at what the other organizations are doing. No, you have to know what they're doing to see, they might be doing something cool, not necessarily that you're going to duplicate what they're doing, but you can see what's working for their audience. And trying to find what is going to work for your audience. Because I don't like when you see, you can tell when one idea has been copied multiple times, and it's just all right, it kind of defeats the meaning,
Exactly. Yeah. And also join trending conversations, go into social media and add hashtags in there, hashtag marketing, and see what comes up, or hashtag communications, or hashtag networking. And then also on Twitter is a good place for joining trending conversations and see what's really relevant out there. So I feel like there's a lot of research that you can do on your part to sort of bring things to light that you wouldn't have thought of before, and try that and see what's relevant currently to your organization.
Exactly. And I mean, at some point you do have to know your audience even before you start posting, because you've met them pre-pandemic, you've met them in person typically, and you've heard the conversations that have been, or you've been in those conversations. You should at least have an idea of what your members, your customers want. You can see what they're buying. So it's just kind of answering to that aspect. So I'm glad we're bringing this up and we're talking about it, because it's, in some ways we're not. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So here's a fun one, because I'm hearing this from different types of marketers and it's really fascinating, but I would love to hear you elaborate on storytelling versus posts on platforms like Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat. So there's the one and there's the other, and what do you recommend, and why, which one is better? maybe
Yeah.
not that way, but.
So I feel like you should incorporate both stories and posts on Instagram, and of course, a lot of other platforms also have stories at this time. So if the platform offers stories, then you should post there. For example, Facebook stories and Instagram stories, and also Instagram allows you to post Facebook stories and Instagram stories at the same time. So very exciting. So both have different kind of aspects from one another, but they're both useful. So stories can show the fun side of your brand. You can experiment new content before posting to your feed. You can link to websites on your stories. They're good for contests or ongoing projects where you can remind your audience that they are still ongoing. And then you can add Instagram story highlights. So one fun thing that we did at AMA Sacramento Valley is we did Instagram stories for our current members and sort of what their day-to-day life looks like on the job. And so we had our members like take us through their day, and they had the Instagram password and showing like what they were doing for work, what they were doing for fun, what they were eating for lunch. And some of our members work in very exciting places, so it was really an awesome time to see that going on. Like, for example, one of our members was doing an event at the Golden One Center here in Sacramento at a Kings game. So, like showing sort of what their outside life looks like, like other than just being volunteer at AMA. So then we shared those stories, and we saved them on our Instagram story highlights. Then when people visit us for the first time, they can kind of see like, this is what AMA Sacramento Valley looks like. This is like who they are. So that was really exciting for us. And then for posts, they're good for adding longer captions. Like, for example, you have like an employee spotlight or volunteer spotlight, and then you can like delve deep into like their bio and about them and what they do like outside of volunteering and what they do inside of volunteering, and why they were featured on social platform. And then posts are also searchable by locations, and you can also use hashtags. So that's a good feature of them too.
Absolutely. And I love that we're in a time now that we can be utilizing both, because it is for two different audiences, and maybe not different audiences, but a different point for audiences. And it's giving them the content when they want and how they want it, because sometimes you just want to read a post quick. Sometimes you want to watch the long form video like we're doing right now. So I love that we have that. It's not just we have web pages or websites.
Exactly. Yeah. And also it's good because if you do something like this, where you have something that is saved to YouTube, like a long form video that you can download, you can actually upload it to your Instagram page and save it there, so people can also watch it there. So then you get the double engagement. So that's what I did recently with two podcasts that I did last summer. I uploaded them to IGTV, and they're saved there, and they are probably getting like more views than the YouTube content actually received.
Okay. I'm learning something. We need to be using our Instagram.
You should, yeah. And then another thing is that people can share those the videos to their stories, and then it asks like, do you want to keep watching this? Or like like they can click on the post and they can watch the video. So you can post a video up to 60 minutes on Instagram. And so what I did was I created a part 1 and a part 2, because my podcasts did go over 60 minutes.
Okay.
So I thought that was useful, because then they could forward it over to their networks. They didn't have to be on YouTube to watch them. We didn't have to link them anywhere. So, and then you can also create a cover photo for the post as well. So it's endless possibilities with Instagram. Yep. And so that's why I enjoy using it.
Nice. So going from Instagram, we're gonna talk about TikTok. Yeah. So your thoughts. I mean, my opinion, I don't think every brand needs to be on TikTok. Every brand can be on TikTok, but should every brand be on TikTok?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if every brand should be on TikTok, but I do think if you are on TikTok, you should really own it, because there are endless possibilities on TikTok. And of course, people become viral overnight, sometimes like literally by accident, which is just insane to me. So but TikTok is really for showing like the lighter side of your brand. So, like you can establish the content that you usually post, of course, but then also like sort of show like behind the scenes and like how you do it all. And so it gives you the opportunity to create fun and engaging content that audience is like can see that wouldn't typically be posted to your Instagram feed. And so audience like to see brands or organizations joining the current trend, and you can add music to the video clips without the issue of copyright issues. You can also have paid ads on there, and if you're well established as an organization, you can use influencer marketing and they can promote your brand for you. And so a lot of audiences and niches on there. And so I'm not really the generation to use TikTok. So from what I've seen, it's the younger generation, but I have seen bigger brands on there. For example, Fenty Beauty is on, did I say Instagram? I meant TikTok. Fenty Beauty is on TikTok and NBA is on TikTok. And so it's different than just promoting like your usual thing. So you can make it fun when you use TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a platform I've kind of delved into. And it's funny that you say like TikTok is for a younger generation. Like I had MySpace.
Yeah, me too.
I was, like just out of college, like MySpace was a thing. And then I remember when Facebook came out and there was this whole thing of, well, either you're on MySpace or Facebook because you can't be on both. Like who would have two social media profiles? Who would do that?
Yeah. So I was, MySpace was when I was in middle school. I used MySpace. And then when I started like late middle school, early high school, Instagram was a thing. And then I joined Twitter in 2009 and then Facebook in 2010. So Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter really have my heart. And of course, I use Snapchat too, but it's not as effective because the content disappears after 24 hours. So there's no possibility of people like revisiting you and seeing like who you are. They do have ads at the bottom, but I'm not sure how established you should be there.
Right.
We do have fun things on Snapchat, like magazines and TV shows. So it's a good variety. But if they want to compete, they would have to have somewhere you can save your content forever.
Yes, just like this episode is on YouTube.
Yeah,
exactly. Even though it's broadcast to Twitter and LinkedIn, it's housed on YouTube. So that's a great example, and I'm glad we were able to use that as a segue. So I'm glad we talked about TikTok because I've had people younger than me, older than me saying, "Hey, should our brand be on TikTok?" And it's like, well, it depends on what your mission is and I don't want to say your brand, but it depends on your brand voice. How much of a human voice do you have? Because when you're talking about these platforms, you're really bringing on a human element to your brand. And if you're a very stuffy brand, it's going to feel so awkward. Like, okay, narc, whatever, it's going to be like, this is so out of place. And why are you here? And and you'll be humiliated. So I think it depends. If you're more of an entertainment, I think, those platforms are perfect because you're able to show your creativity.
Exactly. And I'd say like, give it a chance. I feel like if, you create a TikTok and you use a song that has like been used over and over again, people will probably be very excited to see you posting and using that song because like they kind of resonate with it already based on other TikToks they've seen. At least for me, that's what I've seen. I recently joined TikTok to follow celebrities. So like that's just my thing that I do, and also they're promoting themselves. So it's sort of marketing in a way, but I've seen them use the same songs over again. So I kind of get excited a little bit when like one person uses the same song versus another and what they can do with it.
Yes.
I think TikTok has an endless opportunities. So I see it exploding in the coming years with not just the younger generation, but I guess like professionals overall in marketing and creative types as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm old enough to remember being bombarded with ads where a song was used over and over and over. There's a Glenn Miller song, Sing, Sing, Sing. Like it's a big swing song and it Chips Ahoy. That's all I hear. All I see are dancing cookies every time I hear that song. And there was some other song, and I'm like, I hear that song, and it's Pavlov, and it's, so I like that what you're saying with TikTok and these other platforms, that you don't have that copyright issue with songs, so different people can be using the song, so it's not just associated with one person, like a rock, like, oh, trucks, I used to like that song, until 30 years ago. But I like that these platforms, they're open to everybody. Up until 20 years ago, you're on TV.
Yeah.
You might have a radio show, something like that. Your friend might own a newspaper, but now everything is so open to everybody. And I think that's the big thing. And I think that's maybe where some people might be afraid of stepping in, because everybody is on it, and you don't want to make a wrong step.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't take a step, you got nothing.
Exactly. And I discover new brands and new influencers all the time. So I feel like you're not too late coming into the game. I feel like there's any opportunity for anyone to be on social media. I just feel like if you are dedicated enough and willing to learn about the platform overall, then you can succeed. There's a lot of tips and tricks that you can learn from a variety of platforms. For example, I've been using LinkedIn Learning to learn about influencer marketing recently. And
that's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. And then also you can Google things like crazy. In my creative work, I've been Googling things to do extensive research and sort of like putting content together. And so honestly, it doesn't even have to be a paid platform that using, you don't have to be fancy or anything. Just use anything that's free or convenient to you or you have access to, and build your knowledge that way. So as soon as you explode, you have made it.
Exactly.
Exactly. A goal. And so I feel like that should be the priority, is taking it step by step and day by day, and showing yourself that you did better than yesterday. So I suggest that.
I love that. Just baby steps, and just seeing the little progress makes you motivated enough to get to the next day. And I love that, because marketing is a long game. We all know that. And anybody who says that it's not doesn't understand marketing.
No, yeah, it is just crazy, and things are changing all the time, but changing for the better, in my opinion. And honestly, now I've seen brands be more of a person rather than a brand, and showing that they really care about their audience, and also that they're excited about the product that they are offering, not just that they're selling the product and they want to make money. And granted, some brands do look like that to me, but some brands look more personal, and those are the brands I personally am attracted to and I buy things from. And so I feel like there's a way to go, so you should just find your way to go and see how it works for you, and how you can improve too.
Yep. And with that, what I keep hearing is authenticity, being authentic, being transparent, will really help you kind of stand out too. I worked for a company. They did restoration, home restoration and business after fire and water damage, and just sharing information on how to keep your house safe, just little things. Those posts did well because we weren't gatekeeping any information. It was, we want you to be safe. We want you to call us so we make money, but we really don't want you to have to call us, and having that perspective, here's so you don't have to call us. And, here's how you avoid an insurance claim, and business boomed. It got to the point where okay, we can't actually take on new business. And it was just bringing in that human side of okay, let's share some information without gatekeeping.
No, yeah, I agree. And, during the pandemic, that's something that I saw too. Marketers really had to shift their perspective. Otherwise, they weren't going to do well, because it just wasn't the same anymore. And I, similar to what you said, I saw a Dove commercial come on TV, and it made me really excited. So it was an ad that said, "We don't care which soap you use, even though we sell soap. Just wash your hands."
Yep, exactly.
Then I was I'm dedicated to buying Dove soap forever, because they understand their audience.
Right. And so I learned something. I don't know if you would have been old enough to remember the Got Milk campaign.
Yes.
So I learned recently, and I maybe I knew this deep down, but I didn't want to know this. But so that really came from all of the dairy farmers in California, and they didn't care which brand, or I'm sorry, it wasn't the farmers, it was the milk producers. They didn't care which brand you used or which brand of milk you bought. They just wanted you to buy milk. And so that whole got milk thing was just a whole thing.
Yeah.
To just because this industry needed help selling their product. I'm like, oh my gosh, that, like, everybody was on board with that campaign. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm shocked to hear that because it's so memorable. Like the simplest message, you got milk and the milk mustache. Like you're always gonna remember it. And so
everybody did it. Like everybody was in that campaign. Like everybody. I'm Michael Jordan and Martha Stewart, and you're just like, everybody was in it who was famous at the time, and it was just a whole thing. It's just amazing.
I can't imagine if social media was around then, what would have happened? Like if influencers would have jumped on it, if influencers would have been paid to wear milk mustaches, you know?
There would have been so many more milk challenges.
Yeah.
And not good.
No. I hear good things about trying to drink a whole gallon of milk at once. I've seen that, actually.
I'm from Wisconsin. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, that's great.
Have a glass, you're fine. Eat some cheese, you're fine.
It's so funny.
Drink a gallon of milk.
You're like, I have experience.
Maybe not a whole gallon, but so if you're okay, I want to ask you one more thing. When it comes to telling your brand story, how do you make it clear to new audience members? Like an audience member, like you go into McDonald's, you know what to expect because they did such a great job on branding all of their locations. You know what to expect. You know, French fries are going to be French fries. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're really established, even if it's a known brand and you're establishing yourself on social, how do you get people to understand what it is that you do?
So I feel like if you want to start telling your brand story, you should understand your story yourself. Yeah.
Yes. It sounds so obvious, but oh my gosh, repeat that, please.
So if you're trying to build your brand story, understand the story yourself. So if you have a marketing team around you, you need to consult with each other and ask each other, like, what are we really doing here? Like, what do we want people to know? What do we want people to see? And as soon as you understand what your story is supposed to be, you know, you generate your content around that, and like you see how it looks. So what's important is the Instagram page or whatever it is looks good to you first. Mm-hmm. So you want it to be like, you want it to reflect you the best possible way. So when people come on and they see what you're all about, then it's reflective of you, and so it's intentional. And so if you have brand values, especially, like you want to make sure that they're like clear in your feed, and that they can see what you're all about. So if, for example, if they join a webinar or something and you repeat your values, then they know, oh yeah, okay, so like it's connected then. Like they're really telling like the truth about who they are.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very, very important. It's just I think there's that whole saying of if somebody explains something to you and you are not able to explain it to another person fully, that means you don't quite understand it. And that's exactly what you're saying. If you don't understand your own company's mission, do some history, do some research first before you start drawing up a campaign.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want people to be saying, okay, what am I actually looking at here? Why should I follow this page? Why should I continue to stay engaged with this organization? Like, no, like you want to like hear them out for like who they are and see what they have to say. And also like you want people to resonate with you too. So for example, I'm an early career professional, and so like thinking about like messaging moving forward when I have my communications meetings with my team, then you know, I'm very engaged and vocal in saying like what I would like to see as a professional, and of course we also connect with other chapters as well to see what they're thinking too. So we're keeping our perspective like very like wide and open, and so we don't have tunnel vision and are saying, okay, this is just what Sacramento wants. Like, no, we're saying, what do marketers want?
Yes, exactly. I love that. What is it that they want? And give it to them. Give them the pickle. Watch the Brian Rutberg one if you're wondering what I'm talking about. Give them a pickle. It's at the end. Yeah, that's to you and the audience. Sorry. I'm pointing at everybody, but no, I'm not. Yeah, it's all good. We're a few minutes over, but I wanted to give you an opportunity, Hanedi, to, is there anything we didn't talk about, or is there anything that you would like to reiterate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when you're trying to build your like social Instagram page for the first time, focus on which channels work for you. So not every channel is going to work on for everyone. For example, AMASB has a lot of followers on Twitter, but not too much engagement. And then less followers on Instagram, but more engagement. And then we also post to Facebook, and we have a LinkedIn group. And so like just getting to know your organization as a whole first is, I believe, should be the first step, and then working from there. And then doing your research on like what kind of content you should be posting and what it should be about really helps too. You don't want to create content only based on what you know. You don't want to be naive to like what other people are doing at the same time. Because currently in Sacramento, we have competing organizations, and they're all great, but like we also want to like be high up there with them, kind of thing. We don't want to be falling behind. We want people to be engaged with us too. And so, like telling your brand's story fully and making people want to stay with you is really important. So that's what I've learned as a marketer. Storytelling is definitely my thing. I have a storytelling podcast on AMA Sacramento Valley YouTube channel at the moment, and also since June is on the way, I have a Pride Month podcast on the AMA Sacramento Valley YouTube page too. So feel free to check that out if you'd like, and learn a little bit more about me in the chapter. But yeah, that's really all I had to say.
Oh, okay. No, that's great. And we'll make sure to link all of that in the description below so people can just go right to it. Yeah, that's great. And then thank you for, is there anything else that AMA Sacramento Valley is up to that you'd like to promote?
Yeah, so we have some webinars in the works. So if you'd like to attend webinars featuring new topics and guest speakers, then make sure to follow the AMA Sac Valley Instagram page to see those coming up. I personally like to attend webinars, and so I'm currently on the programming team working to establish those. So we always have webinars going on if you'd like to check them out. And other than that, that's all that's going on right now with our chapter.
Awesome. Yes, I will make sure to link all of that below in the description so audience can go right there and they can check it out. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. This is the first time we've met, and it was so wonderful chatting with you. And I'm hoping by the end of the year that we get to meet in person.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks so much for having me, Julie. And I love this podcast so much. So I appreciate you letting me talk about my passion for marketing. I always get excited when I have the chance to. So yeah, thank you for featuring me on here. This has been so much fun.
Absolutely. We're so excited. We love promoting AMA. Obviously, we love to geek out about marketing. So you were perfect to have on the show. And I'm just so happy that I got to talk to you. Thank you. And then just to let everyone know, with our chapter, AMA Puget Sound, we had a light announcement 2 weeks ago. Call for speakers for Market Mix 2022 at Bell Harbor International Conference Center, right on the water. It's beautiful. You can see the ferries coming in and out. So we are looking for speakers. The future of marketing is our topic. Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. We need 7 more people. Come on, 7 more, and I can change the URL. Awesome. Thank you all.